What's up, guys? So a lot of you have had questions about what kind of chords Hillsong plays, or bands like Hillsong, like just a lot of the worship bands like Tomlin or David Crowder or Jesus Culture, what have you. And a lot of them play inversion chords, which aren't very, I guess, well known amongst many musicians. And so this video is just to show you some guitar inversions and like how they're used and how you can make those type shapes with the chords, and how you can get that tone that you really want to get for different choruses and verses to really just drive in like a certain sound. So we're going to be looking over a couple inversions, and we'll just go ahead and get into that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started with inversions. And inversions are basically the same chords, but they're just different shapes or different positions of the chords that give a different tone, or that give a different sound. So we're going to go ahead and start in the key of G, and just look at the different patterns and inversions in that type of key. So for instance, like a G would sound like this is a G, this is a G, this is a G, this is a G. Hillsong particularly uses these inversions a lot just to get different sounds for their choruses, so it's not too thick or not too generic, I guess you could say. I mean, of course they use them, but just for different parts. It gives more versatility to your sound. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the inversions. So we're going to start off with this shape, and as you can see, the G power chord looks like this. So, and if you notice, it looks a lot like the E chord, since I'm barring this right here, and then you have the same position as the E chord like this, except this is barred at the top. So you have E, and then you have F sharp, and then G. And the pattern just keeps going up. So this will be an A, this will be a B. So we're just going to take this shape right here and then convert it so that it gives you just a different type of tone. So here's your G chord. And the inversion of that, here's how you get the inversion. First, you want to take off the root. What inversions basically are, as far as patterns go, is they take the different notes of the chord, and they either make them an octave higher, or they use different thirds or fifths of the same chord just to get a different sound. So for instance, here is your G power chord. Okay, so you have like the whole bar chord there, and then the power chord would sound like this. And an inversion might be this, which would be, so you see it's the same chord, but you just use less notes of the bar chord. So you can already tell that it has a different sound. So with, again, another inversion in G is this chord, which is the the 5th fret D string, 7th fret G string, and 8th fret B string, which will sound like this. And how you get that chord is you essentially start with the first power chord, and you go from the octave. So you have your G right here, and then the octave would be, and then another octave would be this. So you have your power chord, and the way to make that higher is to just move it up. So you have your octaves. And you say, well, where did this note come from? Well, this note, the 7 on the G, is the octave of the 5th on the D, or on the A string, excuse me. So that's an inversion. Another inversion of the key of G is its shape on the A string. So you find a G on the A string, which would be right here, and that's also the same note as this, the 5th on the D string, excuse me, And so you have your power chord here, or you can bar it as well. It'd sound like this. And an inversion might sound like this. So you're only playing the higher notes of that chord. So it'd be the 12 on the D, G, and B. So that's just one shape. And then you can also change that shape, or I guess add to it, and add on a 15 on the B. So it would sound like this. So you can sound just to give you like a different sound, and that actually might give more of a sound like a D, because this is a D note right here on the 15th B. It's also the inversion of this note right here, which is a D, 12 on the D, and then if you look at that octave, it's the 10 on the E string, which is also a D. So you can have a G right here. You can add that note, but it's like a G or a D over G, or a G over D, however you want to say it. And then you can actually make this same chord into a D by simply adding your third, your ring finger, on the 14 G string. So it'd sound like this. And you might say, well, wait, how does that make it a D? Well, see, this same shape is the same as the one we did on the 5th, 7th, and 8th with the G, because it was the octave of that, and this is just the same. It's just moved up, the same form octave of this. And then if you notice, one way to kind of pick that out is to see with your 14 and 15 and your 12 right here, it's basically, or it is, one octave from this, which is your basic D chord. It just brings it up. So it gives you a different tone with that inversion. So that's kind of like your inversions in a nutshell. Of course, there's more to them, and there's more inversions, but it's just picking out different types of shapes and patterns. And I'm going to go ahead and do another video on recognizing different patterns of chords so you can find inversions faster. So stay posted.